too taboo.
Hey everybody, you are all very welcome to a new episode of Revenue Hacks with me, Khristina Quigley. Normal service resumes. I am back. Thank you, Calvin, for taking care of me while I was nursing myself after Paddy's Day. We're going to go around the room and say hello. We've got a great episode today on mystery shoppers. So we're going to start with our regular guys. Calvin.
Good morning, everybody. Calvin Tilokee. You may know me as Revpar on Instagram and also CEO of Revpar Media. Thibault, that was your cue.
It was my cue. Okay, okay. My name is Thibault. I'm the founder of Catala Consulting. So we are a revenue management consulting company based in the UK, and we look after revenue management for a number of hotels across Europe.
And we'll go with Sandra next.
Hi, I'm Sandra Gannon. I'm the owner of Revenue Puzzle, and I'm excited about unlocking hotels' potential through training, through development, and through consulting to make them stand out.
Hi everyone, I'm Emma Gaymer, and I'm the founder of Bamboo Sales Marketing Consultancy, and I help companies make sure that they are being really strategic with their sales and marketing to improve their performance and growth.
Hi everyone, Stephanie Ledger, Chief Excellence Officer and founder of First Rate Hospitality, providing training solutions as well as service evaluations, mystery shopping to the hospitality industry.
That was me. I'm so sorry. My internet has just decided to come on. I actually was doing the full intro and then I realized Thibault was talking. I was like, oh, wow, okay. And my phone, obviously, today I've got some tech issues, so I'm very sorry. That's very rare. As we mentioned, we are actually having a great show. It's all about mystery shoppers. Can't wait to talk about this because this is something that has been really frustrating me since we actually decided to do this show, is how people don't use it anymore, which again is really frustrating. As always, we are giving away a revenue hack mug, so make sure you stay with us. And any questions, any comments you have, let us know. Get the questions into everyone. Hey B, buongiorno, lovely to see you. Joe Kenny, thank you for joining.
Hi,
it's always great to have new people. There we go, Emma's friends. So let's kick off with this because this is something I'm very passionate about. We've worked in hotels for years. We've seen in Europe, especially in the UK, and I in particular with independent hotels, the mystery shopper has died. And people don't really see return on investment on that. So Sandra, you are up there with me. You are my Dublin sister.
Absolutely.
Can you attest to it? Like people, I've been saying this all week and people's like, no, we use it all the time. I was like, seriously? Really? Have you really done it? Sandra, when was the last time you had a mystery shopper?
How would you know it's a mystery?
Well, when did you get the last report?
When did you get the last time where the GM got called and the card came out of going, I'm the mystery shopper and this is the report? To be honest, it's probably about almost 5-6 years ago at this stage. And even like we were talking earlier, I think a lot of the time the chains have taken it up much more than the independents. But I think it's so crucial for independents to have a look at it. And I mean, we go into details in a little while, but it's if you're coming back to your question, probably 6-7 years ago.
Thibault, I'm interested to hear what you do. Do you actually recommend people to go into a mystery shopper from a revenue perspective?
Not really. I think the last time I dealt with a mystery shopper was with IAG back in Portugal. And I remember we were all stressed about finding out in advance who was a mystery shopper. So, you go into all the kind of complex theory on what the name will be and if you have any kind of recurring pattern. Oh, this guy looks suspicious, he must be a mystery shopper. So, that was the kind of thing. But no, currently, no, long time we didn't hear about mystery shoppers. So I'm very curious about this topic today.
Emma, because you've worked as a mystery shopper before. And
I have.
You've had a company with that. And can I ask you, why do you think hotels have stopped using it? And this is not a COVID thing, because I'm not buying into this. It's all COVID cost cutting, because we've seen it kind of dwindle down over time.
No, I mean, I guess for the bigger chains, the brands who are investing this across the business, it's probably more considerable as an investment if you're looking at it than like a single property kind of thing. So it might be, obviously down to budgets. But then I think that there's often things that come out of a mystery shop that actually is where, the recipient is thinking, okay, I've got to actually do something with this now. I can't just sit and ignore some of this feedback. And so it's more like what that means as a result in terms of then implementation of perhaps training or making changes to processes, to systems. Like, it basically can put up a whole load of red flags, which then maybe there's a hesitancy in tackling those. But I mean, I see it as it's just an entire bunch of quick wins that are right there. There doesn't necessarily have to be any investment involved. It could be tweaking something really minor within the reactive sales process, for example, that is going to like seriously increase conversion rates and have a really positive impact. So it is a mystery. What does everyone else think?
Stephanie, I'm actually very keen to talk to you and Calvin about this, because in the States, mystery shoppers are alive and well. You guys have been working through COVID. Hotels really believe in this, and outside of, EMEA and the APAC region. What is it that drives the US market to really heavily rely on mystery shoppers within the hospitality sector?
Well, I think a lot of it is, especially with the ratings in the US, that really drives for the guests to seeing where they're going, if they're rating as a star or a diamond, and even with TripAdvisor. And so there is, so much competition, especially in metropolitan cities, that you want to compete with the hotel that's right next door and getting that repeat business, and then making sure that they're adding that value with that, having the mystery shopping, to making sure that the service is consistent.
I think Stephanie...
To sign on a second subject, because Calvin would have gone through this through the years working in his position. So, what is it that drove you guys to use them a lot?
You want to, to be honest, most hotels I've worked at haven't used it. I would like to see it used a lot more. Yeah, in my personal experience, I know that in this country, in the market, we still use it probably more than in Europe. But overall, I think there's a huge opportunity to do even more with it. A lot of hotels that I've worked at haven't really gone into it, and quite frankly, I think we some of the places that, in my experience and in my markets, have there's a big opportunity for mystery shopping and just service in general. I think it needs to be a much bigger focus. We're trying to get the scores, but not really doing the things that would help you get the scores.
Yeah. I think a lot of it too. With the caliber of the property as well. We see a lot with the demand for luxury versus select stay, and business versus resort style. We do see a lot of the demand difference between the different types of properties.
Sandra,
I think just coming back to my point, I think Stephanie raised a very good point there. It's obviously the mystery shopping for your own property, but also the mystery shopping for your comp set. What's the comp set doing? What makes them stand out? And you don't get that when you just walk into the lobby. It's experiencing their stay as well and comparing it with your own stay. So I think mystery shopper is a much wider and broader picture than just your own four walls.
I agree with that, definitely. Yes. It's so key for benchmarking, isn't it? Especially if you use a bigger organization who are also checking on your competitors, then they can provide some really good insights into how you're performing.
Yeah, man, I don't think we do enough of that.
I think we focus too much on the rate revenue side of things, then on the operational side of things and the small enhancements we can make. And you know what? You've been sitting in your property as a revenue manager or a sales manager for 10 years or even 2 years, and you may not have gone and seen the comp set for ages or actually experienced the comp set. And the one thing I would always recommend to people is that they stay in hotels within their comp set, so they actually get that overall experience, so that what your pricing should be or what your service should be like. And that's something people don't do anymore, because again, it's all down to the magic word, cost.
Yeah.
And I think that's a forgotten thing when people take over properties, especially. We're all great for going, having a quick look around or a show around, but we never actually do the full experience, which can always separate you. And you know what? The hotel next door may have a very bad product, but their customer service may be 100%. And how they deal with the client from day one, or net that client in. And that can be the reason they won the guest rather than you. I have a question though, because obviously Mystery Shopper does cover a range of different elements. So obviously it covers everything from the reservation period, the whole way down to either by phone or down to, the check-in, the linen, everything. What do you guys, or what have you seen in the past has always been the biggest bugbears of yours when it comes to dealing with people, either revenue, front office? What is it?
Can I jump in with one?
Go on, Emma.
Lack of upselling. Whether that's at inquiry stage, whether that's during a stay, whether it's as a follow-up, in terms of encouraging repeat business. And it's there's companies now that specialize in upselling training for people, but there's also now a lot of new tech out there that hotels can use to implement, like upselling post-purchase, for example, like before the stay. And I wonder if the lack of kind of upselling that's done by the team is partly down to a lack of training, but then also now with this introduction of new technology, it's something that's being even more kind of shied away from. I mean, we're gone from the days of having kind of, most bookings coming through like voice. And so now we're kind of relying even more on the technology. But that has to be used very carefully to balance it with the right level of customer service in terms of perception and, not wanting to like annoy people. And so.
Stephanie, you?
Yeah.
I would have to say also with, going along the lines of with the technology is there's a lot of properties that haven't pivoted towards accepting the technology, especially if you're having business travelers that are very used to, having good Wi-Fi, been able to communicate through the property app, but still having that personalized service. And then they're still being like, oh, you need to fax in your credit card form information, when not very PCI compliant, but it's like situations like that when you're calling in for a reservation and starting your journey at the hotel, and already it's like, wow, they're not really up with the times. What else am I going to expect now when I could then go to the hotel, down the street?
I agree. And we actually touched on this very quickly when I joined earlier on, because I do have a big question about how are mystery shoppers now supposed to shop with technology. And you mentioned about upselling. Oh my God. I remember years ago taking an upselling training course when I was working with Delata Hotels here in Ireland. Wow. That's all I can say was wow. Every person I called, including my mother, I probably was able to upsell a new child to her. But that's something hotels have. It's a fine art, and I think the luxury hotels do very well with that, whereas the economic hotels don't really do so good. And that's something that, just because you have a standard room, that doesn't mean you can only just sell a standard. But with the introduction of technology, in particular over the last year, will mystery shoppers now have to change how they shop? Because obviously you guys can see it that, some hotels have automated hotel reservations. So like mystery shoppers never actually ever shopped an email. So how it we're all on skeleton staff. Everyone is there. Everyone's tired. Some people are great at writing emails. Some people aren't great at writing emails, and they just give the rate. There's no fluff. There's no magical stuff. Are mystery shoppers going to start looking into that? Plus the likes of Upsell Guru or pre-stay upselling, and also the post-stay, because again, Medallia is no longer, well, Medallia is big with the chains, but there's other customer clientele reputation management systems out there. So will they start looking into them as well in the future?
I think technology has definitely, obviously, evolved over the last year, as you said. But I think we need to step back from the entire customer journey and say, okay, where does the customer journey start? It starts when people are looking at you, trying to book. So how user-friendly is your website? And as we said earlier on, it starts setting the expectation of what to expect at property.
Yeah, I mean, I can give an example. I was speaking to a company a few months ago, and I tested out their app, and they're promoting themselves as a very tech-forward hotel. And I sent just a simple request, hey, I'd like to get more information on your specials at such and such property. It took a full day to get a response. And then when I got the response was, call the hotel at such and such number. You know, if you're going to do it, you need to do it right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the journey now. That's part of the guest experience. And as a revenue manager, I'll tell you flat out, you know, you've lost that business. Forget that. If you don't get a response out 2 hours tops, you're done. That person's already shopping somebody else and is already booked somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. The time has changed. Go on, Thibault, and I'll talk then.
No, I was saying like the role of mystery shopper needs to evolve with the technology for sure. But everything which is front-facing, guest-facing, needs to be tested. So we have introduction of chatbot. You have the content that you may even audit because that's what's part of the guest journey. So everything which is front-facing must be audited. And now you have the introduction of new technology that needs to be audited as well. Not only giving a call, not only the emails, but technology must be a big part of it. And in a way, even in revenue management, what we do with audit, that's kind of a mystery shopping with the back end. So mystery shopping is not only about experience, in my opinion, it's all about everything that can help you to identify risk and opportunities.
Yeah.
But for sure, it needs to evolve.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. But let's come back to Calvin's thing about the comment in regards to 2 hours tops in regards to getting a reply. So Sandra will remember this, and anyone who's worked in hotels in Europe and Thibault as well. There's pretty much a 1 hour turnaround reply on a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to groups. But now that we are in a world where everything is very instant, you know, we almost expect that reply right away. So, you know, not having that touch point is pretty crappy from my point of view, especially when there's a lot of sunrise to sunset systems there. I just want to bring up something from Yanis, because I think this is brilliant. It's one of the best questions. And actually, Yanis has been a regular watcher of the show for the last few weeks. He's trying to move from F&B into the revenue and room side, which is always great to see. And he said that all the times I've been experiencing mystery shoppers, either Michelin Guide or leading hotels of the world, they would have been identified prior to their arrival at the venue by the management team and staff. Therefore, our service has been adapted for them. How can a mystery shopper still be relevant in that case? Emma, Stephanie, these are your areas. Tell us.
Well, especially, you know, with my background coming from the hotels, I mean, that's how we used to be looking at our arrival list. Okay, if they're repeat, cross them off, looking from where they're located, seeing that, you know, do they have social media, LinkedIn profile, all of those things to then start identifying. And so, you know, with taking that information of identifying, now being smarter than the front desk to being, how can I making sure that I can still go incognito, to then being able to, you know, give them a true audit. And that's why also too, I brought props, because sometimes I'll wear a wig and then making sure they'll be like, oh, you know, she has blonde hair. And then all of a sudden they'll be like, oh no, that's not her. She has brown hair. Or even, you know, making sure with the hat and things like that, you know, just trying to making sure that I can give them the true thing. Because it's such a, you know, it feels like a failure when you have been spotted, and now you just know that the staff knows you and they're just trying to do everything to win you over in their audit, where then now, you know, you're not getting that return on investment.
This is up to the mystery shopper to take responsibility, though, to make sure that they're not identified. It shouldn't be up to the hotels to be wasting all of their time looking through guest lists and trying to, you know, figure it out, as fun as that can be. But, you know, as a mystery shopper, the most exciting part is when you check out at reception and you go, ta-da! And, you know, you want to see that genuine look of shock on their face, like, because they haven't managed to figure it out.
I look at, to be honest with you, over the past, thank God, touch wood, I've always been successful in my mystery shops when I was working in front office and in revenue and all that. I'm very much a tick the box person. However, I have seen the stories come back where it's been bad, and when it's bad, it's bad. But to Yanis's point, there are hotels that are very, very good at picking out these people, or they've popped a message, and then all of a sudden, when you, again, with the advances of technology, you can see who they are and what they do, and that's a huge problem, especially if you can do this person hotel hops. I always kind of say to people, you should treat everyone is a mystery shopper, because they are actually. A new guest is always a mystery shopper to you, because they're always coming back, or they're coming to you for a reason, an experience. If either it's rate related or it's actually customer journey related.
Actually, Khristina, I have a question for Yanis, who just asked that question. As an F&B person moving into revenue, how will you feel about having to comp breakfast instead of room rate? I'd love to know how you feel about that.
Yanis, you can drop it into the chat for sure in regards to Alvin's question. That's actually really funny.
I ask the important stuff.
You do, absolutely. Can I ask Stephanie especially, because again, a lot of the chains have all come out of the States. Why have chains now gone into using their QA analysis, so their quality analysis, to do the mystery shopper rather than actually investing in a proper independent mystery shopper away from the brand?
I know. I wish I had the golden answer with that, but a lot of it, I think, is that it comes down to the cost, and they want it to be internal as well, to being able to knowing, brand standards of the big brands and things like that, because it's not just auditing much on the service, but is that tent card where it needs to be, the compendium and those types of things, to then keeping it internal for them. There's a lot more reasons, but that's one of the main ones I'm thinking.
I know, and I agree, because again, I used to work for a large chain, a global chain, and that is one of the reasons. But I also think that, as I said in the green room, if you want to call it, behind the call, a lot of these guys have been best friends with GMs and owners. They've been working with them ad hoc for about 20 years. So, they can fluff the results. Whereas, if you invest in a proper mystery shopper, there's no real hiding. And I think brands in particular should do that for their call centers. Call centers are so important, because now more than ever, everyone's calls are going to the call centers. And if you're calling the likes of CRO and it's in Manila, if there's not that touch factor that you're looking for, you're instantly going to go and choose another brand. Would I be correct in saying that? Emma, what would you think about that?
Yeah, no, I actually, the most recent mystery shopping that I did, I was really surprised that I came across some pre-recorded voicemails basically saying that we don't accept bookings over the phone anymore. And that was it. There was no further information about how you can inquire if you actually want some personalized information, like, you can email or you can do this. It was just, this is it. I was, really surprised. I think if CRO, maintains itself well, this is something that actually will become almost like a USP in the future for those demographic of people who do still want to book, using the phone, which there are still many that do that.
What I think is interesting is, in order to make a booking for your points, we all know this because we're all points people, you have to either ring CRO or use the website. And what happens if what you're looking for is not there? Or you want to pay partially with points and it's not on the website? So people don't really think outside the box when it comes to CRO in general. I love Julie's comment, because Julie actually said that some hoteliers are going to be left behind because they can't get their head around where tech and how technology sits within their guest offering. It's so true. People just have bought into all this. What's hilarious is this week I've been talking to a few people, and they've bought into all this magical technology for hotels because their friends had told them to do it during the pandemic, because it will save them, because they've been offline. And now they're trying to figure out, as they're starting to reopen, especially in the UK in the next few weeks, how it all supposed to fit together, because now they're finding that some things are double jobbing. When it comes to the mystery shopping side of actually phone calls, what is it that, Stephanie, you would be looking for in a phone call when you call the front desk?
So making sure that you're feeling that smile over the phone, and not, especially if they're at the front desk, we know that they're doing multiple things, but giving their undivided attention to you. How many times have you called and then they're like, oh, can I put you on hold? And then they've done it like 4 times in the middle of your conversation, instead of being like, you know, may I offer a callback, or making sure that the desk is staffed enough to being able to handle all of their arrivals and departures, and then also too with the reservations, but definitely with that smile over the phone.
I think it's a great point, this one. I remember like having a checklist from LQA, I think. And what I like with the checklist and the point that we're looking at were they had something called the X factor, and it was linked to the human connection and the kind of a vibe that you add from at the check-in or the reception or reservation. So it's not something like very tangible, but something like you feel. And I think that's very important when people ask me like, okay, do you have a script for us to upsell on the phone? I said, I don't like script because I don't want you to sound like a robot. I can actually outsource to robot company. I think this kind of human interaction is so important. And that's why it's important to have another human being to tell you if you're doing a good job at it or not, because they will have this kind of X factor and this kind of sensation to understand what is right and what is wrong.
Emma, what would you have looked at when you I'm going to go through the whole stages of this, right? Because I want people to actually understand that this is hugely beneficial and it's so important to have. And especially now with COVID, you know, Sandra did make a very valid point. If people aren't giving you that warm welcome and that smile behind them little screens, you're not going to feel it. So using this is a great way of identifying gaps and barriers, especially with new COVID regulations across the globe. Emma, what would you look for from a check-in point of view if you were actually doing a mystery shop right now in COVID-safe environment?
Oh gosh, COVID safe environment.
This is not a difficult question as well. It's not. It's just, you know, it's based on what we know at the moment.
Yeah, the thing is with the COVID safe environment is that actually you interact with sanitizer and temperature screening before you've actually come across any kind of human engagement. So, you know, a lot of hotels have these freestanding, you know, things that you have to look into the camera and you have to then sanitize. And then it's after that point, then you actually, you know, get to the desk. And quite often, you know, at the moment we're masked, and so you've got to see those smiling eyes. And actually for everyone behind the desk, it's like to be really conscious of the fact that you've got to really smile to get those smiley eyes, and actually then, you know, create that welcoming feeling in a slightly different way than what you've been used to before. And I think, you know, what Thibault was saying about kind of tone of voice and like speed of how you're talking, and whether you're coming across as kind of being enthusiastic and pace, and all of those kind of more like softer skills are really important, because, you know, that's how you're going to make people feel kind of feel welcome, and they're going to understand you. And then the process bit obviously needs to be there with what's relevant and necessary without it being kind of interrupted or fussed around, because there's nothing worse than being at the desk and then a call comes in and that person will take the call, and then you're kind of just stood there mid check-in process wondering what you're supposed to do. So just making it seamless, quick, you know, as it needs to be, job done.
I totally agree with Emma there. I think the soft skills are so crucial coming forward. It's the body language, it's the tone of voice. I mean, I've seen a brilliant ad the other day of, I think it's one of the brands, which have little name tags with the actual face without the mask. And again, it's trying to bring the human interaction into the process. And the process still has to be there. But it's, as Thibault said, it doesn't need to be, I don't need to tell you, you need to use my name 3 times. You need to ask this exact questions. It needs to all come naturally. And you naturally, every person wants to be addressed differently. So if I'm a business traveler, I don't want maybe the lovey-dovey feeling. I just want to be checked in and off I go. Whereas if I'm a tourist, I want to have that communication and the interaction, but I don't want it scripted as I've been given by probably 15 years ago by the brands. So it's stepping back and going, okay, how can I still give that service with the COVID regulations? And that's why we're saying, I think more and more the mystery shopper is becoming more and more important with all the COVID requirements, because hotels spend thousands upgrading their screens, their sanitizers, whatever. But has somebody actually done the customer journey and go, okay, I'm the guest now, I'm going to walk through all this. How does it make me feel?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
we were all in a rush to get open.
Yep.
And we were all in a
Absolutely.
rush
Yeah.
to get everything in to
Absolutely.
get open
Yeah.
to make money to make up for lost time.
Yeah.
But I have a
Yeah.
question
Yeah.
because now that you're saying that, I've never actually come across, and this may sound ridiculous, Stephanie, to you especially, I've never come across a corporate mystery shopper before. It's always been leisure.
Yeah.
Which is always interesting when you're looking at it. You know, is there such thing as a corporate mystery shopper? Do the likes of Google send someone to hotels to investigate to make sure everything is fine, or do they hire someone like you guys to actually do it?
For me, it's, really role playing what the typical traveler is for that hotel. So if it is the business hotel, then making sure, the business attire is being packed in the suitcase, and then checking all of, the Wi-Fi's over by the meeting rooms, looking over into there, being able to, have breakfast extra early as if you're rushing to go out, making sure, you're playing that role as if you are that business client, to then having to feel as if your typical business client would have, compared to a leisure person, because then that's also too, you're sticking out and you're not testing the things as a normal business traveler would be using, with amenities and service questions. I need to print items. Where's the nearest area that I can print for my presentation? And typical, questions like that, to making sure that you're testing the staff's knowledge.
In prep for today, I actually had palpitations from my past life of actual guests coming to me. I just kept having these crazy dreams of guests coming to me with like laptops saying, I can't plug this in somewhere, or I can't find a printer here, and I can't find this. I was like, oh my gosh, what is it? It's like a psyche thing that was going on last night.
Yeah.
Beatrice has said that she actually agrees with everyone in regards to making people aware and of the job that they're doing. Make sure that you do love your job that you're doing, because when you do that, you're able to achieve towards building a goal. And I think that's really, really important. In training, here we go with the training. We all know this is coming. What would you both, or what would everyone in the room, because obviously it's everybody here, what would you believe is the most important items you should be training your teams on in regards to, it's not even how to deal or identify mystery shopper, I'm on about in general, based on what everyone has been through over the last 365 days with a hotel. Go on, Calvin. I can see you're like, man.
You know what? I'm one of those people. I believe that you have the spirit to serve or you don't. And I think ultimately everything we talk about on the show, when it comes to AI and all these different technologies or mystery shopping, whatever it is, ultimately you're going to be able to feel if that person actually cares about what they're doing or not. Mm-hmm. I'll say that with the disclaimer that obviously, especially now during COVID, we're stretching our people so thin. One point that was made, in the last segment was, was the guest wanted to be in a rush to get up to the room if you're corporate. Well, a lot of times you feel that same rush from the front desk, because their phone's ringing, they're checking somebody in, they may have to handle some housekeeping duties today or whatever it is. So I think we're asking a lot, number one, and service will suffer when that happens. And, sometimes I think we have the wrong people in the situations. You have to have people that want to help, that want to serve. And if that's not there, you could train them all day long. Yeah. It's not going to help.
I think I have one which is linked to going back to the human connection. I think it's about emotional intelligence, reading the room and reading that a guest wants to have like a very speedy check-in, or actually wants to talk. I think that's very important to make this difference. And not a lot of people are actually doing it or understand exactly, because again, going back to the script, they say like, yeah, but I need to upsell, but I need to do the check-in, I need to ask for the credit card. Yes, but not all of them will want to have the same experience. So this kind of emotional intelligence, I think it's the number one skill, soft skill, that we need to train to make sure everyone are on the same page.
Yeah.
I think it's a hospitality industry. If you don't want to be there, don't be there. Then go somewhere else. Where if you don't want to talk to people, then don't be in the hospitality industry. I know one of the previous episodes we've done is it's so important to talk to the guests nowadays. And one of the touch points is when they're in the hotel. Why are they coming? We need to completely find out a new customer demographic. Why are they coming? What do they want? What are they expecting? And I think it again comes down to hospitality. If you don't want to talk to somebody, then you're wrong there.
Don't say this. We need stuff in nowadays. A lot of people are running away from the hospital industry. Don't say this. We need as many stuff as we can.
But you know what? We need to find
the right people. Yes.
We need to find the right ones. I actually think now we have an opportunity here as an industry to find the right people. You know, I think we've gone that way of just getting people in the door. Let's just pop them at the desk, pop them at these line level positions because they're entry level. Hey, anybody can do it. Everybody can't do it. And if you don't have that attitude, you're not able to suck up all of that stress. I mean, listen, we are stressed out. We're dealing with the public all day, right? But if you've got to be able to do that with a smile, and you've got to be able to do your job consistently. There's plenty of other industries that you know where you can act like that. And we had this conversation on my page recently about somebody reacting to a coworker in a very curt manner, and I said that person has no business being in this industry, whether it's a guest or not. If you can't speak to a coworker in a way that's at least pleasant, and not rude, get out of here. Go work at we have the DMV here. I don't know what you guys call it in the UK. Where you go get your license. You don't expect great service there. It's just get in, get out. Or
you just think of Patty and Selma. That's all. Patty and
there you
Selma.
go. Yeah, you guys got the sense today. Exactly.
But, it is true. I think people actually never really understand the life of service. You're constantly switched on, and you need to be geared up and built for that. Calvin, Clara has come back and said she totally agrees with you. People need to be motivated, and that's the one thing. And you know what? We all have bad days. Hospitality, when it sucks, 100%. I'm not putting I'm not sugarcoating it, but at the same time, it opens so many doors for you. It's so amazing. I've been in hospitality for nearly 10 years. Actually 10 years, and I've been able to go from receptionist to a GM to group revenue manager. I'm now a key account director for Hoist Technologies, who is like one of the biggest technology companies out there for hospitality, but it's my customer service that got me there. And it's the fact that I'm always nice, and that's the one thing that people need to realize, is that you do need to be nice. We're all here as either consultants or working for a company, working for ourselves in many cases, because our service and our level of service and our pride and our passion for the industry has brought us to this point. And young people going into service need to realize, okay, it's hard, but the end game is so worth it. The amount of times you get to travel, you're able to experience different departments, different parts of the world. It opens doors, and I could never praise this industry enough. The one thing I will say is that our industry, and we've said this in the past on shows, is that it does need to have a shake-up. And I'd like to, as Calvin said, this is the reset button for everything. Hire people who are passionate about it, but also not just that, but actually the companies themselves. So the head of companies actually have proper training and resources in place, because that's something we have failed to do over time. And you can see that when it comes to actually mystery shoppers, because how we deal with people, be it in a service side of things or even in the back of house side of things, is drastic. And you can have a great customer service at the front, but the back end could be shocking.
Yes. Agree.
And
agree.
I think that's the biggest kind of key takeaway that people need to realize, is that mystery shoppers can help you develop the areas that you may think are rocking, but they're not.
It's all about revealing the authenticity of the property. They're so used to being trained on the technical standards. I definitely agree that emotional intelligence is right up there as the number one for the training, but also too of, with the property from the front of the house to the back of the house, revealing the authenticity that property is able to offer that they can't get anywhere else.
True. I think you can train tasks. You can show somebody how to make a bed, but you can't train somebody emotional intelligence. You can guide them, but I think if somebody just doesn't have the personality or the skill set to be hospital, you can train as much as you want to make a bed. It's still going to fail.
Yeah, Calvin, Yanis has just come back, by the way, with his reply. He actually missed it, so I actually popped it to him in the chat. And he said he actually didn't catch it, but he said if it's just a single person, that'll be fine. But if it's for a large family, we might have an issue. More seriously, if it's a comp breakfast, can bring more guests into the breakfast room, he would feel fine with it, because at the end of the day, it's all about total revenue, not a contestant at each department. This guy has watched your
Hey.
shows. He really has.
What a statement.
That is a fantastic political answer. I am not going to counter that. Well done, sir.
So I have another question for everybody. When we're dealing with, because we're always coming towards the end, why? So Stephanie, quick shot. Why exactly should hotels go into getting a mystery shopper?
It's the being able to have their service of knowing to giving their feedback of where they can be able to improve, but also too what they're doing well, having that reassurance of knowing that, okay, yes, they are providing great customer service at the front desk, but need to focus a little bit more on housekeeping. So it's also not just about pointing out all of the negative things, but also to really being able to point out the positive things that they're doing.
We managed to quantify the ROI of having a mystery shopper. That's a question I have no idea. Do we know what should be the ROI? Like, can we expect? Let's say we spend like 1,000 on a mystery shopper. What kind of ratio can we expect on the pre-value?
Well, I think it's also a lot about the retention too with your employees, because now you're creating this investment that's not just showing about your service levels for a typical guest, but also too you're investing into your employees to providing that feedback for them, so then they can even excel to even do better. And if you're not putting that investment in your employees, then they're going to go somewhere else. They're just thinking that they're, just a person that clocks in, clocks out, does the task, and then leaves.
Yeah. I think for employees as a if they're aware that there's mystery shoppers that are going to be coming through, it can be used as a way to incentivize the team and actually make it something that they're rewarded on. If they achieve, the target or whatever, but it's something that should actually encourage employees to learn and make sure they have the necessary knowledge that's needed to answer questions that they get from guests, and to actually think that they're working for a company that's really proud of what they want to deliver in their customer journey, to make sure that they're exceeding against their competition, and should actually be something that motivates them.
Yes.
Easy for me to say. It's also I remember absolutely petrifying as well at the same time.
Of course.
But at the same time, it should also be a motivation too, because you can easily also spot your stars and your star performers and use that as a positive thing. A mystery shopper has this label of they're here to find things which are wrong. But I think it needs to be completely turned around by the companies of going, okay, it's not here to see what's wrong, but it's here to see if there are any improvements, process improvements, other personal improvements. It needs to be seen as a development plan more so than a beating stick.
Absolutely. Yes. And it's really looking at it from the customer's point of view. So identifying what you see as the customer as being some kind of pain points through that journey that are just going to, small changes which will just contribute to repeat business, etc. So maybe there's been too much of a stigma around it that's just been so negative in the past, and that's the key to kind of what's made it disappear.
I think people don't want to see the truth. That's what it is. It's not even the negative.
The fear factor.
It's not anything. It is people don't want to know the truth. And that's what really frustrates me, because you know what? Unless you're actually up there looking on a holistic level, you are not going to be able to identify everything. You may be a GM sitting in your property. I can tell you for sure, you don't even know what's going on in half the departments, only because you've never experienced them in the last 5 months.
Yeah.
And even if you go back to even 2 years ago, you may not have even experienced it there. But now with COVID and everything has changed, there needs to be a better focus on using a mystery shopper to help push your service to the next level, to identify them gaps so that you outshine absolutely everyone, as Stephanie and Emma have both completely said in the past. Calvin, would you go for a mystery shopper?
Absolutely. And I think people should. I think everybody here has made really good points. It does have a negative connotation. The only thing I'll add to it is I think we've gone here as as an industry, we're trying to manipulate guests into giving us fives. You hear that a lot from the GMs and managing directors. Okay, how can we get a 5-star? Get them to give us a 5-star. And it's like, you know what? If you deliver consistent quality service, you're going to get them. Let's stop trying to buck the trend. Let's stop trying to shortcut, the system and say, how can we get a 5? Deliver the service. Create a quality connection when the guests arrive, and that again starts from the phone, the app, all the way through. Let's do that consistently. Guests will give you a 5 when you do that. But I think we've gone away from it, from true hospitality. We keep trying to shortcut the system there somewhere. And a mystery shopper will help you if you're looking at it from the right perspective. If you're coming in to say, hey, listen, let's identify the good and identify our areas of opportunity, then we can move forward and really do this right.
Yeah. And with the consistency, it's also too about changing it up. Just don't go into the typical like AM time, check out with your evening crew and, spot check them. And then also too, even with your overnight, there are still guests that are checking in at all different hours. So you want to making sure that the service is consistent through all of the shifts.
Thibault, do you have anything to add before we wrap it up today?
Oh, but I think you convinced me that mystery shopper are necessary. I'm all for it. No, I think to your point mentioning about GMs and people don't want to hear the truth, I think it's super duper relevant for any kind of consultancy position or mystery shopping. But I think people need to be very open-minded, and you don't know what you don't know. Meaning that you don't know what's going on in front of you, because you have a lot of managers that will tell you and they will sugarcoat everything. So as they tell you, everything is great, everything's perfect, we only have 5 and so on. But when you dig into it, when a third party dig into it, they found some risk and opportunities. And I think that's super important. Just for me, from my experience, I remember having worked in a restaurant where the manager was taking the reviews on the paper. The good one were keeping it for the owner to see, and the bad one putting it on the bin. Okay, and that's exactly the same when it comes to mystery shopper, because you will see everything and you will report without having any influence to what you're going to report. And I think that's very important. And this kind of open mind needs to be everywhere. I think that's very important. So yeah, I'm all for the mystery shopper. Thank you so much for this session.
I think there's so much you can touch on. You can actually almost do a full show on the whole walkthrough, because there is a different mystery. This week we put up 2 different pictures. It was like from a hotel's perspective, and then from the mystery shopper perspective, their life cycle. And it does change drastically as you go by. Mystery shoppers are feared by hotels, but then you on the other side, when you guys hand a report, you fear something's going to happen in the other side of the property as well. It's always down to, someone's job is always on the line, if you want to put it that way. And that's the negative way of looking at it. Mystery shoppers open the truth, they show everything, and they don't hold back. And that's one of the amazing things about it. I'd like to thank everyone for joining today. If you have a question about a mystery shopper, please don't be afraid to drop it in the chat box. We are still going to be looking at the questions after, but reach out to Stephanie, reach out to Emma. They are the experts in this, so they are more than happy to help you with their knowledge, for sure, and share what they have done in the past and help you in any way possible. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Next week, we were talking about attribute pricing. I'm going to do that too, don't worry. Next week, we're talking about attribute pricing, which is pretty much like buying a hotel room, almost like buying an upgrade when you buy, a flight. That's the only way I can describe it. It's like the airline effect, again, into revenue management. See, we can never escape it. So join us next week. The mug is going to Yanis. Thank you so much, Yanis, for actually joining today. And we are delighted to see you get a mug, because you have been part of the crew for quite some time. So well done. Maria will be in touch with you over the next few days to be able to get that to you. Okay. Thank you so much to everyone. Stephanie, Emma, Sandra, thanks for joining. I know you're here again next week. So, thank you. Enjoy your time off from us. I come back and you're going, we're playing a tag team. And Calvin, dude, I'm going to see you next week for sure.
Of course. Can't get rid of me that easy.
No.